Part 3. Final video. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. Now, I said I had a story on that. So, one day, a friend of mine, who's also biracial, we went on a double date with his girl and the girl that would have been my girl, that was my girl, that decided to cheat on somebody with me just like me. Alright? What I meant to say was, she found my doppelganger and was cheating on him and let him do things to her that I couldn't do, and all I could do was kiss her. Anyway, so we drop the girls off, and then I drop him off, and then my uncle's piece of crap Chevy breaks down. Now this is over where AutoZone is. It's a white club restaurant where no black people, and this is in the 90s, are allowed to go in. I don't know that. There's no sign on the door. So I go in. I need to call my uncle because it's his car. He needs to come help me get this piece of crap running. Now I'm going to show you how God works. Alright? So I go in the building, and it's a bunch of guys playing pool and talking, and hot chicks and Daisy Dukes and everything walking around, and there's not one black person in this building. Not a black dishwasher, not a black cook, not a black stereotypical guy that sweeps up the floor, not a black guy in a corner scared as hell smoking a cigar that all the white people there are going to lynch him. None of that shit. Now you can tell when something goes wrong when you walk into a room and everyone stops. Now I walked into this restaurant. Now I don't know if it still exists, and if y'all do, how y'all doing? I don't hate you guys for what you did. I don't care. You know, shit happens. You have your right to be racist if you so choose to be. I'm not going to judge you for that because only God can judge people. So I walk into this damn restaurant and everyone stops. Dudes stop playing pool. It's like the fucking music even stopped. Because it's like I walked in and everything, it's like time just froze. So I come in and everybody just stopped. I'm smiling. I'm a fucking 17-year-old kid. My car just broke down. I didn't get any pussy. I'm not exactly happy. It ain't even my damn car because I don't even have a car. It's my uncle's car. I think I had a car and I think we switched out that day or something happened. But anyway, he had the car. I had his car. So I'm there and I walk up to the bar. And there's a pretty lady behind the bar and I go, "Excuse me, ma'am. May I use your phone to call my uncle so he can come get his car because it done broke down across the street from y'all?" Everybody's looking through me like I'm a fucking ghost. And then she lies to me in my face. "I'm sorry, young man. We don't have a phone." And before I could say thank you, ma'am, the fucking phone rings. And me being the asshole that I am, I go, "Well, what the fuck is that?" I say, "Well, now that it's ringing, you definitely can't use it because I have to take somebody's order. Please show yourself to the door, young man, before there's trouble." I said, "Ma'am, it was trouble the second I walked up in here. That's why all y'all stopped, because y'all thought y'all was going to do something." I said, "Well, let me back on out. I thank y'all for y'all time, but y'all should all know, I do know Kung Fu." And I cruised on out. And hell yeah, I was scared of shit. But I probably would have killed them all if I could get a hold of that damn pool cue. But I'm 16 years old. I'm not cocky. I'm not stupid. I know I can fight two people by myself because I've been there and done that and I've won. But 25, 30 people, mostly dudes of redneck professions and some hot chicks, yeah, they just needed a legal excuse to lynch my black ass because I was the only person of color in the entire building. Now, I'm sure that hasn't happened to you in Japan because there's a lot of Japanese people in Japan. So that's not like something that's unusual. But I'm pretty sure that if a black person walks into a restaurant, there's no other black people in Japan, you're all going to look at him the same way those white people looked at me. He's going to feel like a raisin in a bowl of milk. Or, since you guys are lighter than me, darker than white people, he's probably going to feel like a raisin in a bowl of almonds. So he's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. He's going to be a little bit scared of what not to do to make sure that he gets out of there in one piece. He's not Bruce Lee. He's not going to go in there like, "Yeah, I'm Bruce Lee. I'm going to fuck up all these Japanese cats." No. If anything, he's going to be like, "Yeah, I might have to pull out my Glock up in this motherfucker, because there's no way in hell I'm gonna walk out this bitch alive. But that would be a chicken shit black man. Someone like me on the other hand, be like, oh, my money's green. I'm gonna eat first, then I'm gonna walk up out this bitch. And if anybody tries to stop me, that's when the problem's gonna start. But see, that there is a stereotypical shit. Now those white people probably ain't think no more about me after I got out that building. None of them came to the door. Nobody asked if they could help me. I went over there, and like I said, man, I'm gonna show you how God works. I went over there and said, damn, this damn car won't start. I'm gonna have to walk all the way over to goddamn Montrose, get my uncle to drive me all the way back over here so that he can drive his car back after we jumping. I said, God, please don't let me get killed out here by these white people. When I get in this car, you're gonna start this car. It's gonna be all you, it ain't gonna be me. I prayed a couple of minutes more. In Jesus' name I said, this car gonna start. I turned the key, car started. I broke every speed limit there could be, getting the fuck out of town. When I got across to where I was supposed to be at, car died again. Told my uncle, motherfucking damn thing needed a new battery or some shit, and maybe a new starter. And he fixed it. Car worked fine after that. But you know who never went back to that racist ass bar? That would be me. Now, as I said, in America, stereotypes fuck up everybody. Whites are naturally scared of blacks. Blacks are naturally scared of whites. Blacks and whites are both naturally scared of Asians. Thank you, Bruce Lee. And Geronimo, you know. And the thing is that none of us in America are brave enough to sit down and talk about the things that make us the same. But let something racist happen, and we're all ready to get mad about some shit that no one can change. I can't be a full-blooded Native American. It's not gonna happen. If I could, it would have been done at birth. You don't get to choose what family you're born into. You don't get to choose what color you are. God has all control over that in the hands of fate. Now what you do get to choose is your child's mother or your child's daddy. If you want it to be black but you're white, you can have a mixed child. They'll look like me. Hopefully they'll look better than me. But they'll be mixed. And that's your start. But maybe your child wants to be all the way white. So he'll go back to the white people and his baby will come out looking exceptionally light. Evolution is a funny thing. Because the truth of the matter is, most of the time when babies are born, they all basically come out exceptionally light. Especially black children born in America. Now I can't speak for black kids born in Africa because I've never been there. I've never lived there, and since I'm not welcome there, I'm probably never going to go. Now mind you, Africa did not call me and say, James, you're not welcome there. But a bunch of kids that went to school with me in high school and some in college said that Africa would never like half-breeds to come to Africa because they'd shoot me when I get off the fucking plane. I don't feel threatened, but I sure as hell don't want to take that fucking chance. You understand where I'm going with that? Now, I've talked to plenty of Asians. I've talked to whites who've lived in China and Japan. It's like, oh, you'll be fine there. You can go anywhere in Asia as long as you don't do anything stupid like that dumb white kid did in Singapore and had to get Singapore caned, you know, and you'll be fine. As long as you obey the laws and the rules in any country in the world, you'll be fine. But when it comes to Africa, they don't like blacks that aren't from Africa. Is it a stereotype? Maybe, but from the Africans that I spoke to, it's a 50-50 split. 3 liked me, 3 couldn't stand me. So 50-50 split. 1 in high school, 2 in college. 1 in high school, 2 in college. So, like I said, it's a 50-50 split. But truth be told, I met a 4th African while I was in college. I was going to a different college than they were, but he was going to UVA. He did martial arts. He was in one of my films. Lewis, how you doing? So, if 4 out of 7 Africans like me, there's a good chance that I could come to Africa and not have a fucking problem. The only way to find out is to pack my planes and go. But see, that little stereotype in the back of my mind is telling me I'm not welcome there. Well, here's the funny thing. I'm partially Native American and I haven't stepped foot on a reservation yet. because I'm afraid of what they might treat me like. I've had one bad Native American experience my entire life. Only one. From a tribe that's not in Virginia. I don't know where they're from, but the chief was in a wheelchair and he was way lighter than me. He didn't even look like he had a drop of Native American in him. That does not change the fact that he was a chief and that he had to be a direct descendant of the chief to be in the chief. So he can be mixed all he wants, but if he's a descendant of the chief, he will be the chief by all rights. But you also can't judge by looks, and you can't judge by covers. But you can judge by actions. And here's the thing. What one black person does affects every black person from America, anywhere that Americans go. Now, if an African hoops and hollers and fucks some shit up in Japan, y'all won't blame us. But it also depends on if that African is a white African or a black African. Because, yes, white people have settled South Africa. In fact, they dominated South Africa for quite some time. Charlize Theron is from South Africa. So, you know, you kind of got a win-win and a lose-lose. The thing about race is that we never get a break. And black people get it the worst. Because even in certain racial aspects in America, if I go into an Asian store, me specifically, most people think that I'm fucking Hawaiian. Or they ask me right offhand, are you mixed with something Asian? And I say, well, legally now, because I didn't know Native Americans were Asian at the time, you know, because I had to have a Korean teach me my own people's history. So when they used to ask me, like, hell no, I'm just black, white, and Native American. And people just took it off of that because a lot of people don't know that Native Americans are Asian, apparently. And I didn't either. And then when people ask me now, it's like, well, the Asian look is from my Cherokee heritage. It's like, but that's Native Americans. I say, yeah, fucked me up too. He's like, what? I said, that's right. Go get a history book. You know, Native Americans. Yes, these guys are you guys. And so are Eskimos. So learning that, I'm glad there wasn't any money in it because I would have surely been broke. Because the long and short of that is I was at college, and this happened right before the incident with the chick telling me that 3 black people can't die in 2 months' time. I was doing martial arts, had my bow staff, was working up there at the basketball court. It wasn't a court at the time, it was just an open field. So I'm busting my ass, spinning my sticks around. No one could see me working out because I had to get my workout in. So all of a sudden, this little Korean dude come flying up the hill. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm thinking this dude's about to whoop my ass. Because I'm thinking he's thinking that I'm mocking Kung Fu. And he said, yeah, I've seen you working out here a couple of times a damn week. I just didn't want to say anything. I was like, look, I don't want any trouble. He said, I'm not here to fight you, man. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, well, I'm not here to fight you. He's like, I just want to know what was your style. I was like, oh, well, I do a little bit of everything, but mostly Kung Fu. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Then he introduced himself. And then he told me he was from Korea. Well, he's Korean, but his father's a preacher. I'm going to leave names off for protecting of my friend's purposes. So he's like, can I ask you a question? I'm like, yeah, what is it? He's like, are you half Chinese? And I was like, are you fucking serious? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, no. I said, I'm part black, and I'm part Native American, and I'm part white. And I said, but as far as being half Chinese, I don't think so. I said, maybe in spirit. So we got a good laugh. He said, you know Native Americans are Asian, right? And I said, no, we're not. He said, yes, you are. No, we're not. So it was one of those friendly clusterfuck arguments. He said, y'all are, and I'll prove it. And I said, we're not, and I'll prove it. So we go to the library inside Piedmont, and we get these books. We get a Native American history book. We get a couple of encyclopedias. We get a dictionary, and we get a world. What is that? It's like an atlas or an almanac or some shit. So we get all this shit. And each and every one says the exact same damn thing. That 20,000 years before European settlers found America, the Native Americans came from Asia across the Bering Straits through Russia and stopped in Alaska and it splintered off into many different tribes. And motherfucker, if I wasn't pissed off. I said, damn. I had to go home and think about this shit. I said, here, all this time, I thought we were spiritual and we could turn into animals and all this other shit because we are special. And just found out we're just the nomads of Asia that just didn't want to stay there. And then we started having all kinds of phenomenal events and powers. Now, in case you're wondering, because you're Japanese, Native Americans come from Mongoloid stock, and some Mongoloids believe in shapeshifters. But every myth and legend has some truth to it, so therefore. Now, I don't think you're a racist. I want to end that video with, I don't think you're a racist. I honestly, truly don't. I just think that you came off with a little bit more attitude than you probably should, and you didn't have every fact right. Now, the reason why I say this is because if you take 5 different people of color, and by people of color, I specifically mean black people. So if you take 5 different black people, and specifically black Americans in different tones of color, and ask you their experiences, that shit you read, and the stuff that you mentioned, you will come to a better understanding of why I said you only have 13% of that shit as correct. And that shit about black on black crime, yeah, that shit's probably about 1,000. But everything else you said is not fully correct because every black individual has a different black experience. And if you get those 5 people, you should probably make it 10. 5 guys and 5 girls of each different skin tone, and let them tell you about their racist experience from white people. And that will open your eyes a little more. Now, I will tell you, honestly, truly, the guy, outside of America, racism really isn't that big of a problem because there are a lot of black people that find success in other countries and never come home because they make their homes in those countries. They marry a citizen from that country and their visa runs out, they get married, and they don't have to leave anymore. And they do well there. And that's how we have black Irish people and other stuff like that. But, you know, in America, we live for stereotyping. Straight up and down, we live for stereotyping. You see one black guy, if he smells, you'll think all black guys smell. Same thing if you see white people and if they smell, you'll think all white people smell. Now everybody has a scent, granted, that's why we make soap and water. But, you know, all it takes is one stereotype to fuck up everyone. And that's pretty much what you were kind of based on. You were kind of backing on stereotypes. Black people act the way they act because black people have been treated like dog shit. Now, for the ones who constantly relive slavery, those guys just read too many damn books. Or they've watched Roots one too many times. And in school, they've probably watched Shaka Zulu and Roots maybe more than they needed to. And school teaches you how to be racist. It really does. You might not believe that shit, but in America, American schools teach you how to be racist. I didn't have any problems with my white friends until we had to watch Roots in middle school. It was in middle school? Middle school or grade school. We didn't have to watch it in high school. It was high school, I think we watched Shaka Zulu. But whatever school I was in, when we had to watch Roots, my white friends and my black friends didn't want anything else to do with me. And then we had a race war. Yeah, so it was in grade school. And in grade school, the race war, blacks didn't want me because I'm not a real nigger. And whites didn't want me because they just didn't trust me because they thought that anything they said, I would go tell the black people. So I was doubly screwed. And then my white friends and my black friends both asked me, it's like, well, if we all have a fight, whose side are you on? I said, I'm not on anybody's side. I'm going to fuck up both of y'all if y'all try to fight me. And that's pretty much how it ends. I'm James Williams Jr., dude. I love your channel. I love your shows. And, you know, just instead of going with facts on paper, because they aren't always 100%, you should probably have a couple of friends with you and be brave enough to actually ask black Americans why they are hung up on slavery. Now, each experience is going to be different. And a lot of them, like I said, they just read too deep into these like black history books and how bad slaves were. But what they don't know is, because a lot of these black history books, and history in general in America, leaves off that the indentured servants that were white were treated just as bad as the black slaves, except for they got to live in the fucking house. Some of the indentured servants were raped. The females. Don't know much about the male indentured servants. I think most of them got to America and just escaped. But for the female indentured servants, escape was not an option when the guy is a 200-pound sack of assholes that's raping you at nighttime and then going to sleep with his wife. which again is how chlamydia and all these other things got spread around. Because, you know, back in the early days, they washed, but the soap probably wasn't really made out of good stuff. But, you know, and then they don't know that Chinese have brought Chinese slaves over here. Native Americans had slaves too, and they just traded them off to other tribes because Sacagawea technically was traded to many tribes. That's why nobody knows where her origin began. So every race in America has had slaves. Black slaves were treated worse because it's historically shown. That's all. As for Native Americans and Asian slaves and white slaves, no one mentions them in history because they don't want that scar to boot with the scar that they already have on white people as it is. Enough said. So again, if you really wanted to find out what makes black people act the way they act, you need to ask black people personally. You can read anything on a piece of paper, it doesn't make it right. It makes it about 2%. 2% right. Because that's just like me saying all Japanese people eat sushi. I've met a couple of Japanese people who fucking hate sushi. No, I met a couple of Chinese people who can't fucking stand rice. And as a person who's partially Native American, I fucking hate corn. Okay? Or maize. So yeah, stereotypes fuck people up. And statistics that you get from the FBI, it's not real. They're not going to put the real shit out there. They're only going to put what they are technically allowed to put out there. And of course, since the FBI does not have a black guy at the head of the FBI, you're going to spin it to the people who aren't. We have very few blacks and Asians in the FBI. Very few. We have very few in the CIA. Now, when it comes to like government agencies like the UN or the U.S. embassies in your country or and stuff like that, that's where you'll probably find most of the Asians or the blacks working. You'll have someone of every ethnicity because not everybody can come to Japan and speak the actual Japanese language, or they can't go to China and speak Mandarin. So when they get in trouble, the first place they have to go to is the American embassy so that someone of their country or someone of that country, like if I don't speak Mandarin but I'm in trouble in China, the person in China who can speak Mandarin can translate everything I'm saying to them so that I don't get my fucking head cut off. Same thing with Japan. They have to have someone of that country working for them so that way everything can be explained and so that people don't push the button and start killing everybody. Check it out. Trust me. If you go and ask 10 black people of light color, darker, and darkest colors, and male and female, you will understand why black people are hung up on slavery. You really will. You'd have to be there. Now, as far as ancient slaves for Native Americans and other Asians and whites, y'all don't know about them. And why don't you know about them? Because no one wants to teach you about the other dark side of slavery. But when you go to college, you will learn about those things. I'm James Williams Jr., just come for number 2. I got one more video, B, C, and U, but it's not for you. It's totally different.